Listen, it is time to get it going. It is your boy G Bush. It is the Ultimate Browns. We got a brand new member to the UCSS team. We'll talk about that. But more importantly, I done told y'all about this. The national media then finally came around, starting with Shannon Sharpe. And you'll never guess where he put the Cleveland Browns. I told you it was only a matter of time. We'll talk about that, Jack Conklin, and so much more on this episode of the Ultimate Browns. Welcome to the fastest 30 seconds in all the sports. And my niece, here, she won't leave me alone. So say hi to the people.
Hi.
And say go Browns.
Browns.
All right, there you go. That's Zara. Say bye.
Bye.
She was like, Uncle Garrett, what are you doing, Uncle Garrett? I said, I listen, I'm talking Browns. I'm talking Browns here. So we'll definitely get into that. I am now indoctrinating her into a Browns fan. Shout out to her as well. But we got a great show to get into, man. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Today was an exciting day over at UCSS. We had my man. I ain't even gonna say that. I ain't gonna tap dance on it. We had one of my guys that I've been working with a long time in the building. I always joke and say, man, UCSS got the strongest football knowledge in the game, and the UCSS got a little bit stronger today.
Good to be with you guys. I'm excited to join the show. Have a little bit more free time now that
I'd say so.
I've dropped the 25 hours a week on the air, which is, I mean, it's a hell of a run. Had a lot of fun with you and with Nick for the last couple of years, and yeah, I mean, it's time to start a new chapter.
That's right.
And I'm excited that you guys sort of welcomed me in with open arms.
Yeah.
Obviously, as this happened so fast, and again, you guys sort of brought me in the mix immediately, and we're like, hey, we got a couple spots, so I'm going to be on with you guys twice a week, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Today is a Tuesday, feels like a Monday.
It does.
But yeah, no, I'm super pumped.
Listen, man. Great announcement. Shout out to my man Dustin Fox, man. Me and Dustin played ball against each other. I went to Camp McKinley. He went to Canton Glen Oak. I've known him for years, worked with him since the beginning, since day one at 92.3 The Fan. Obviously, Adam the Bull and Dustin Fox have really been co-workers for a long time over at The Fan, and it's a great opportunity. Dustin is has some time on his hands, taking some time to do some things with his family and just being able to get back into the swing of things. And it just worked out. Their schedule worked out that he's now over at UCSS. So, this is a great opportunity to have him for the Brown season. And I'm going to just tell you like this. You're not going to get the football knowledge like this nowhere else in the game. You got Tyvis, former professional football player, multiple teams. You already know what he brings to the table. Dustin Fox, former player. You already know what he brings to the table in terms of that. And then you got your boy G Bush, man. You know what it is in the Ultimate Browns over here breaking it down. So when football season come and you want to get it broken down the way we break it down over here, I'm telling you, you're not going to get it no other place like this, bro. Not to mention Quincy Carriers on the show. Not to mention we got Earl on the show. It's locked up, man. Sold up. This is the only place you need to be. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're checking us out, because guess what? We got some more great stuff coming up. We also, the post-game shows are coming up now, so make sure everybody is tapped in. Let's get into this show, man. Great show planned for you. Quincy Avery was talking a little bit about earlier today or a couple of days ago, and that's Deshaun Watson's personal trainer. He talked about Deshaun Watson and his health update, and I think you'll be encouraged by what he had to say in terms of what he thinks about Deshaun Watson and what he looks like physically right now, a couple of days before the Cowboys game. Don't want to miss that. Also, we talked about this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Jack Conklin and Jed Wills updates. We'll get into that. Who's trending at starting at left tackle? What's the update on Jed Wills? It's going to be a big week going into a pass rush game where you got DeMarcus Lawrence. Also, You're going to have Micah Parsons. But not only that game, but future games where you take a look at some of these games. Max Crosby with the Raiders. You take a look at Kayvon Thibodeau for the Giants. You take a look at Josh Allen, 17 and a half sacks. These guys are all premier pass rusher. Big time challenges for the Browns with the offensive line. We'll talk about that. But first, Shannon Sharpe, Club Shay Shay, Unk. He's all over everywhere, man. Shout out to him. Shannon Sharpe is a cultural phenomenon right now. He just got another one out there with Tyrese. He had the thing with Cat Williams. He's on First Take, but he was at First Take talking to the big swagoo, Stephen A. Smith, some of those guys out there. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. He's been on UCSS. And I'm telling you, the national media is coming around. And, you know, we heard all the lists before and all the lists of people saying the Browns ain't this and the Browns ain't that and they ain't about to be nobody and they ain't never going to be nobody. I already told you that's cool for the offseason. But when you start getting close to these games and we under 5 or so days until Sunday and we kick off live from Huntington Bank Stadium. We'll talk about that. We got to find a nickname. I don't care what they have them say. Huntington Bank Stadium. I don't know what that is. We're going to have to call it the Hunt or something. But when you talk about it, now when people see that Cleveland Browns roster and they start to actually come to the realization that the Browns are a damn good football team and they got guys like Myles Garrett and they got playmakers, all of a sudden, people starting to come around a little bit. This is courtesy of ESPN in the First Take. Shannon Sharpe, he got to get his boys together early.
Man, when you look at that Cleveland Browns roster, Swagoo, when you look at that roster from top to bottom, offensively and defensively. Now, remember, last year they finished number 1 in defense. This year, if Deshaun Watson, I'm not even saying he needs to be, now, if he goes back and be what he was his last year starting in Houston, well, it's over. With that defense and those weapons, with that offensive line, nah. So, as much as it's so hard to pick up against Patrick Mahomes because he is that guy. He's the one guy that you don't pick against because he's proving it time and time again. Even with last year when we thought he was like, this team, there isn't good enough offensively, too many drops, the offensive line doesn't do a great job, and what do? They take the show on the road. They don't need to be an Arrowhead, and they get to and they win the Super Bowl again. For me, when I look at the Cleveland Browns, if Deshaun Watson is either now or never, he's under immense pressure, that big contract, and as of yet, he has yet to live up to it because of injuries and obviously what happened off the field in Houston. But if they play, and if I just need Deshaun Watson to give me 85, 90% swag and Stephen A. of what he once was, I like the Cleveland Browns.
Listen, I done told you. Listen, don't look at the Duke of New Jerk over here. Don't look. The Kool-Aid Mafia is well and popping. Well and popping. And don't forget, coming up later on the show, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get some of that swag. We right back on the Kool-Aid Mafia. Later on the show, we're going to give you an opportunity to catch you some of that swag. So stay calm, stay steady, right? But let's get to this. When you look at it, Deshaun Watson, all of this talk of people saying, "Oh, well, he got to do this," and the Browns, I got him with 8 wins, and I got the Browns with 7 wins. When you start looking at it, and you start coming down, you start coming to the realization, and you start coming back down to earth, and you start looking at the facts. You start looking at the nuts and bolts and the pieces and parts, and you start to say, "Well, listen, man, my man. How is it that I got him at 7 wins when the receiving core is upgraded, right? When I got a Jerry Jeudy now, who is an upgrade. When I look like that guys is ready to go, Elijah Moore is slotted to where he's supposed to be at, and David Njoku's coming off his best year, right? And the great thing about the Cleveland Browns offensive line is, yeah, they had two or three tackles, right? We had 3 tackles, and we talked about who's going to play. But when you have injuries like you have with Jed Wills, we'll talk about that next segment, it is great that you have a guy like Jack Conklin who can slide in there and play that role. And I think the thing that people discounted so many times before, and they continue to discount this, but you got to always take this into consideration. The Cleveland Browns defense is in its second year under Jim Schwartz, not the first. Guys are in their second year. So now when you look at it, now you can call stuff. Now you got different communication in the secondary. I believe and wholeheartedly believe that you're going to get more wrinkles out of them, right? And you may catch the Cleveland Browns early, right? Where their offense isn't hitting on all cylinders, but all offense is behind all defense. That's just the way that the nature of the beast is. You're attacking. But when you get an opportunity to see the Cleveland Browns and you're going to get a chance to see that defense, the thing you can count on is this. You can say, hey, defense, let's come out here and let's hold them a little bit. While we ahead of the situation, while we're ahead of the sticks, while we're ahead and understanding that the offense may take a little bit of time to get used to, hey, let's go ahead and stop these boys. And when you got teams and you got three of the best corners, Greg Newsome will be back. Dalvin Tomlinson will be back. You look at JOK, and JOK is a guy who right now I think is going to have a breakout season for the Cleveland Browns and become an all-pro this year. You take a look at that, and he hit it right on the nail, right on the head. When you asking about Deshaun Watson, all you asking Deshaun Watson to do is give you a couple. If he plays 17 games, he's going to have the numbers. He has the supporting cast. We're not asking Deshaun Watson to come out here and carry a team. You don't need to carry him. They got everything that you need to have. They got everything that you need, all the requisite pieces and parts. And all you need to win these games in the first few games is this. All you need is an opportunity to say, you know what? Give me a play here. Give me a play there. Give me a play here. Give me a play here, Deshaun Watson. Let's see what we can do. And if you can get that from Deshaun Watson, you can move the sticks, you can make some plays, you're going to be a team that's going to get the most out of the Cleveland Browns. And you may be looking at a situation where, guess what? Cleveland Browns may very well be in the AFC Championship game. They very well may be in a situation where, guess what? You didn't need him to carry him. And Deshaun Watson has a number one receiver. And then at week 7, at week 8, guess what you're going to get? You're going to have an opportunity to get Nick Chubb back. That is a scary, scary proposition. Let me get to some of these comments. I know y'all been in the comment section. Let's pull up on me, man. Let's see what we got going on, man. Charlie Fry the GOAT. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's hype about the Unk said, let's go. Terrell Glenn. I'm super pumped about what he said, because now what we trying to get to is all that fluff stuff out there. You go and this happens a lot when you're in the off season. When you're in the off season, you talking about, a lot of different articles and topics and stuff. You need stuff that's going to push clicks. You need stuff that's going to create some I wouldn't say controversy, but some. You need something that's going to create some dialogue and discourse amongst the NFL fans. And a lot of times we doing these lists and stuff, you could do a perfectly great list, and that list is based in, whether or not a team is really good, or based in facts and it's really good. People ain't going to read that list. They'll be like, oh, my gosh, they have the Cleveland Browns being very good. They have the Kansas City Chiefs being good. Hey, the AFC North is the best conference. That's cool. Everybody know that. That's not going to get no clicks. But when you start to get to 3-4 days before the season, it's just like running your fantasy team. Everybody be talking about their fantasy team, and it'd be like, listen, I'm going to draft these rookies. I feel like this guy has upside. But when you get to it and Travis Kelce is still on the board, you like, listen, I'm going to take Kelce. Forget that. I got to go with facts. I like Neighbors. I like him. Heck, I love Marvin Harrison Jr., but I mean, Kelce on the board, though. That's the way it be working. So now, notice, these takes get real serious. All that silly season stuff, that go out the window. Everybody ready to go. It was actually on ESPN, and that clip was courtesy of ESPN First Take as well. Let's go. What's up, Marshall? What's up, Craig? We see you out there. Karen, always, man. Karen is on every platform. I appreciate you. She's been holding me down since like 2012. And I totally appreciate that, man. So we in here talking, man. Q is on OBR or Orange or Brown Report right now. Shout out to my man Quincy on Orange or Brown Report, man. All the people over there just breaking it down, doing their thing too. We're excited about what we got going on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Rob Cunningham, what's up, man? G. Bush, man, I hope Watson is driven. I have my doubts sometimes. I'm glad you brought that up. When you're at quarterback, it's very hard to outwardly show emotion like that. Sometimes when you playing, you want your quarterback to be indifferent looking because other people is always watching you. You don't ever want to have that sense of people look at you and they look at you and feel like you panicked all the time. And, you know, to be honest with you, be truthful, and I don't bring up Baker's name because, you know, whatever. And I think Baker had a really good year, man. He had a dope year last year. Baker's personality is more fiery, right? But sometimes when you're fiery, like you attract a certain level of energy, right? You want your quarterback to be calm, cool, collected. Like he gonna come back. If you down 25, you want to have that same feeling, right? And so sometimes I really feel like it's a situation where Deshaun Watson, because he is a laid-back guy, he's not a guy that just jumps and is a rah-rah guy and is just, you know, saying certain things. I think it could be a gift and a curse because some people can take that as being indifferent instead of being a guy that is more cerebral, calculated, and more of a guy that's thinking the game out. And sometimes you want your quarterback to think the game out. I think and I'm going to just be honest with you, you'll hear from Quincy Avery a little bit later in the show. I think that there's a lot of people that will be encouraged by what's going on with him right now. And I think right now he's going to be as motivated as he's been in a very, very long time. And let's see, we give him one more. Tony says, my gut, it says 8-9, but my heart says 12-5. They finally win their division and host a playoff game before they finally close the door on the factory of sadness, man. A lot of people got to 12-5 in here as well. Let's see. Mel L says, I was watching Cam and Mace and I had to pull up on G. Bush. Listen, I went live on y'all. I had to let y'all know I'm in the building right now. We ready to go, man. We got 260 people in here right now live getting ready for this game. Browns week, all week. Cowboys is coming. And Cleveland, you are the epicenter of the sports world on Sunday. Understand that. Understand and get ready for that, and understand that we're going to embrace that. We're going to show up and we're going to show out. You got Tom Brady in here. You got America's team. I always contend that the Browns are America's team. Let me just keep it real. Like, we got people in Dublin, Ireland, Indonesia. We got people in South Africa repping Browns backers all across the country. But we do got the Browns coming to town. We about to show up and show out. So I'm excited. We ready to go. And don't forget, Ultimate Browns is now every Tuesday and Friday. So you get a little bit of a quicker gap. And guess what? That Friday show, we treat that here as the de facto pregame show. So if you want to know the latest when it comes to any of the injuries, you want to know latest or what's going on with the team, you want to know what the game plan should be, what the X factors are, what defense, offense, and plus we go behind enemy lines a little bit too for that game, because we're going to talk about what the Cowboys do well. I think it's good that you got to prepare everybody for what those teams bring to the table. So if you are looking for a pregame show, make sure you tune in Fridays. Make sure you're getting that going, and we'll get you ready to go for Sunday coming up here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Network, and especially on the Ultimate Browns. Coming up, we've been doing a lot of talk about the outside positions. The quarterback is important, but we got some updates on Jed Wills and Jack Conklin that we got to really talk about, because I really feel like these are really big, influential parts of the team. And get into that, and you'll hear some clips from one Tyvis Powell on what he thinks is the difference between trying to move from corner position from the left side to the right side, and if that correlates to the offensive line. We'll come back and do that up here next, right here on the Ultimate Browns. let me get into it and talk about my people at Game Time, man. I loved attending the playoffs in 2016 with the Cavs, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Guardians this fall during a pennant race over at Progressive Field. Game Time can get you covered on both of those if you want to see the Cavs or the Guardians. There's a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Pick filters out the fluff and show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, man. And the great part about searching through tickets is you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you go ahead and buy it. And as always, Game Time has the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference in the two ticket prices. Hey, listen. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On NFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code Locked On NFL, LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? You already know what it is. Game Time. And welcome back. We're back at it. The fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. This might be a little longer than the fastest 30 minutes. We got into it a little longer on that first, but when we right back to it, Jack Conklin, Jed Wills, you got Micah Parsons coming to town, right? You got DeMarcus Lawrence here coming to town. So you got to make sure that this line is up and ready to go. Jed Wills has not practiced. He has not been cleared to play. We haven't seen Jed Wills since last year, and it looks like Jack Conklin, the more the week progresses, especially by tomorrow, if Wednesday, as you watch this, Wednesday, Thursday, if he hasn't practiced, it looks like it's going to be Jack Conklin. This is going to be his first action since the first couple of weeks, the first week of the season where he tore up his knee really, really bad against the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked about a little bit about this during the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we really discussed was, let's take a look at the difference between the cornerback position and the defensive line position and offensive line position, given the fact that corners and tackles kind of play swing tackles where you could play left side and right side. Tyvis was talking about whether or not he's concerned with Jed Wills not being at left tackle and Jack Conklin playing left tackle for the first time in about 10 years or so. This is what he had to say, and this was on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show earlier today. You can check that episode out right now on YouTube.
It is a slight difference. Like, it can be tricky to some, but it's not like left tackle and right tackle.
Okay.
That's two totally different things to me. I think at corner, as long as you got good hips and your technique is good, you'll be fine. On that kick slide, and when you so used to kick sliding one side, and now you got to switch it and go the other way, like your body just not used to that. And then it's not only is that, these guys have good moves. Like, you got dudes that speed rush. You got guys that hit spin moves. You got guys that really good at countering. And if you're not used to your body just twerking that way like that, like it's that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
If you ain't used to it, like it's
used to twerking.
It can get chill out, bro. You need to chill out with that. But if you're not used to that, like it can be a foreign feeling to you. That's why reps is so valuable right there. At corner, you got to be, if you're going to be a top corner in this league, you got to be able to play both sides of the field. You got to be able to go inside, outside, and on the other side
Don't
as
ask
well.
Richard Sherman about that.
He did it.
I know.
He did it very sparingly, but he did it.
By the way, Tyvis, you thought you was going to get away with that. That was wild. Your body ain't used to twerking like that. I don't know what. Dustin, get in the studio. You defensive backs, that's what y'all co-signing? Your body not used to twerking like that. Pause. But yeah, listen, that was nasty work by you. Nasty work. But we'll moving right along. But you know what he was saying, I felt what he was saying. It's a bit of a thing. When you are a left tackle and you used to kick sliding a certain way, and you got to be precise with the kick slide, because you're supposed to kick slide at a certain angle. And what you want to do is you want to be able to kick slide to protect the outside so you don't get hit with the speed rush. But at the same time, you're not giving up the inside rush by being overextended. So one of the things that you got to talk about, and one of the things we talk about a lot, is can you just go from putting your left foot back to your power foot to your power step to all of those things? You got to actually think about that a little bit. You actually have that, lot goes into that. It's just not something that you just line up and do consciously. The second part of it is Jack Conklin has not played any snaps. And I don't know about you guys. I don't think y'all understand this. When you are a bigger individual, you have to slowly ramp yourself up into football shape. And to put it in perspective, when you got 20 pounds of equipment on and you just go out there, and all those guys that played football that knows about, what football conditioning is and what it be in football shape is, first of all, the helmet itself is obstructive. Like when you got that helmet on and you ain't used to having it on for a long period of time, you just feel like it's Darth Vader. Like, you're like, hey, listen, I can't breathe in here. You just feel like you ain't getting no air. You're like, man, is it always like this? Then them pads start weighing on you. And then you're like, man, I got about 30 pounds of equipment. Then you realize that you ain't really been no conditioning in the off season. You just been rehabbing. Rehab is just to be functional and walk and not be able to be hurt. Not talking about I'm going to play 100% like my life depended on it, trying to kick slide against Micah Parsons. That's different. It's another level. And I look at it, conditioning is going to be something. It's going to be hot. Those first few games in September is summer games. Those games, you might as well be playing in the summer because it's going to be hot. They're going to have to do a lot to keep him upright. They're going to have to make sure that Njoku's over there helping him out. They're going to have to slide that way. They're going to have to put it back over there. They're going to have to do a lot of different things. And the biggest thing that I think can help Jack Conklin that we got to talk about, because Jed Wills to me is not playing, and Jed Wills might not be playing for a couple of games because he hasn't even put the pads on. He's 2-3 weeks away, right? The thing that they're going to have to do to help Jack Conklin is they're going to have to keep this run game going. All of that, they're going to have to be faithful to the running game. And what I mean by that, it isn't so much that you got to run it 30 or 40 times, but you can't be behind the sticks. You can't be in 1st and 20 because somebody was holding. You can't be 1st and 15 because somebody jumped off sides or false starts. You can't have a guys being down the field or on a legal man downfield on screen plays. You can't have none of that happening. And you don't have to get 12, 15 yards a touch, but you have to give me something when it's there. So that means you got to have a conversation with Jerome Ford. Like, listen, Jerome, listen, we need the tough 3 or 4. We need the tough 3 or 4. If you can get it, get what you can get and get down. But you got to slow this pass rush down by using screens, by using the run game. But you can't be behind the sticks and be down and talk about we going to have Jack Conklin dropping back 40 or 50 times trying to deal with Micah Parsons. That game plan is a disaster for the Browns, and they can't win that. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Let's get back to the chat. I know y'all want to get in here. Let's see. Where we at? Ron says, why nobody talking about the Jets worried about a 40-year-old quarterback with an ACL or Achilles heel injury and recovery not playing in a year? Well, that's because it's two things. It's Aaron Rodgers, and he done won some championships, and he done won an MVP, and he's in the New York market. Now, granted, that's the low-hanging fruit. Plus, people that already have it baked in on Deshaun Watson, they done already figured out what they want to talk about Deshaun Watson. A lot of it is going to be about them allegations or a lot about the money or the 234 or whatever the case may want to be. But the cool thing about football is you could make narratives up all you want during the offseason. But when that football film hit, all the rest of that go to the wayside. It's about the games and what you do in the field. If Deshaun Watson come out here and play his tail off and the Cleveland Browns is winning and they play like they look like a team in the AFC that's going to be contenders against the Cowboys, won't nobody say nothing about that because it matters about what's on that field. And that's the great thing about football. We cover it from a perspective, but what happens on the field trumps everything. And I want this too. Marshall, let them sleep on us. There's no pressure, just motivation. I think the Browns don't have very, very much pressure this year anyway. They know we're a big team. They know we're a good team. And I think that's just a part of it. I think that's a part of the maturation and the evolution of the Cleveland Browns fan base. We're a team we're not going to catch anybody off guard. Like, they know we got ball players, right? So for us, we just have to evolve the way we watch these games, right? So, the Cowboys is a good team. Every single game is going to be a game that you should expect the Cleveland Browns to either be in or win. Like, that's just what being a contender. And we got to get to a point where we can start, viewing the team, and hopefully the team plays like that, where you can start to say, okay, every single week we come in with our lunch pail, and every single week we expect to win, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Bengals, whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Cowboys, the Packers. We should be able to compete in every single game. Let's see. We need Greg Williams back as head coach. Greg, that ain't happening, dog. Greg Williams is he's doing podcasts like me now. That's not happening. Sarah says, bro, the offensive line, not enough talk. What if Jack goes down? Watson has to obviously get the ball out quicker. Tight end position is huge for this game regardless. Yes, it is. Shout out to you, Sarah. You button up on your knowledge. I like that. You ready to go. Ball got to come out quick. And here's the thing with Deshaun. There's sometimes he's going to hold the football, right? He's going to have to pick and choose his places, though. There's times where you can't be fast and loose with the ball with Micah Parsons around. You go back and watch that game against not the Bengals, second game against the Steelers. That game was in tow. What happened? You got a strip sack, right? TJ Watt, you got a strip sack. Now, Jed Wills could be, somebody would say that was his guy, but you got a strip sack. You got to have ball security. If they don't have that strip sack, the Browns defense was lights out pretty much that game. Browns win that game. So, definitely. Rick says, appreciate you always standing on your own 10 down. Your boy Jay is always interjecting when others speaking. Hey, look, man. Hey, it's football season. Right now you're going to see, look, during football season, it's always we don't do too much interjecting, man. You got to hear what I'm saying. We're gonna be much more aggressive on that. You know what I'm saying? We need that analysis, right? We need that analysis, man. And plus, when the season come around, we're gonna have a lot of film to go over. So, I think, and the cool thing about it is, people adapt to certain things. We got 4 people in the panel now. So, you always lead with the topics, right? So now when we come around on UCSS, everybody got to pass the rock. You know what I'm saying? And we don't be doing too much dribbling. Get your money off and pass, cut, screen away. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody get their comments in, but be locked. It's going to be must watch TV. Let's see. Let me give him one more. Soul Train, what's up, man? Always pulling up. 391 people in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button for your brother. 391. We need all them likes. We should have at least 391 likes because there's 391 in here. Aside from week 1, I'm glad the beginning of schedule don't have divisional opponents for a while so they can eventually get right offensively. I think offensively it's going to take a couple of weeks. And it's not that I'm putting that all on the quarterback. I just think it is what it is. Like you're going to have to figure out what's going on at tackle. You got to figure out what the run game is. And plus, I think a lot of us don't even know what to expect. We didn't see none of these dudes play in the preseason. I don't know what they playbook looking like. I mean, what playbook did you see? If you could tell me you saw Jerry Jeudy and you saw Amari Cooper and David Njoku and all the ones playing, you tapped me on the shoulder because last time I checked, all of those guys did not play in the preseason. So that's one of the things that we can look forward to. But I do think the defense will be ahead of the offense. All right, let's get it moving. Coming up next, we all wonder about what was going on with Deshaun Watson. There was some rumblings. There's some questioning about his health. Quincy Avery, they got a podcast out on Lockerverse, QB Unplugged. Go check that out. Make sure you subscribe. He was on, I believe, with the NFL Network. He was talking about Deshaun Watson and why he feels like he's going to be all right this year. We'll come back and talk about that. It's G. Bush right here on the Ultimate Browns. Man, I wish I would have had my slides in. First of all, let's start by talking. We got a new addition to the UCSS universe. Man, we got the Ultimate Buckeyes. Tyvis Powell, Dustin Fox will be with you guys once a week talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes. They had a win over the Akron Zips, man. We will be rocking and rolling with those guys, making sure that we go all the way to the college football playoff. So make sure you check that out. They will be on once a week. Tyvis Powell and Dustin Fox with the Ultimate Buckeyes. You already know what it is with the Ultimate Guardians. Zach Meisel, Adam the Bull. Guardians back 3.5 up on the Kansas City Royals. They've been doing some good work. It looks like the Guardians have righted the ship. You want to keep it locked. Right when we get through the season, this is the place you're going to get your Guardians talk. Season coming up. Ultimate Cavaliers, Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets. They give you the Cavaliers talk. And my man, Earl the Pearl. People have been asking about Earl. Earl on vacation. He ain't go nowhere. Ultimate 216 is a mix between sports and culture. Make sure you check that out. And then you already know. The biggest in the game. The big homie himself, G. Bush. On with the Ultimate Browns twice. Tuesdays at 5, Fridays at 5. You don't want to miss it. We got Quincy on the show. We'll have Tyvis on the show. We do it big over here at Ultimate Browns. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing on the UCSS network. And we back. Quickest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's a little over this time. I'm trying to, get you guys ready for this, this season. So we got to put in a little extra work. Quincy Avery. He was on talking about Deshaun Watson. Quincy Avery is his quarterback coach. And Quincy was talking about Deshaun Watson and why this year could be a very good year. And don't worry about his health, because I'm going to tell you what, he says he's better than ever.
I think that this has been his best offseason in a really long time in terms of preparation for the game, being able to throw, putting himself in position where he's able to do all the things throwing-wise that he needs to do to be successful in an NFL game, and he's in a good spot. I mean, we've tested, so it's not, hey, is it as good, right? He throws the ball as hard with more velocity. Like, his miles per hour are higher now than they were prior to the injury. So those things are not like a concern.
And that was courtesy of Maggie and Perloff. Make sure you go check out their podcast. That was Quincy Avery on there talking about the rehabilitation process of Deshaun Watson. I thought it was interesting that he said he's throwing the ball just as hard. His velocity is up, and that this is the best he's looked in his career in terms of the offseason preparation. And I think one thing that we looked at, and there was a lot of misinformation, and let me get into this too. See, it's a lot of times, I don't want to say this to a lot of people because it comes off as you're just trying to say, I don't want to make it seem like I know football and nobody else don't know nothing, or you don't know what you're talking about. I don't never want to come across that. I'm a person that I to this day, I go watch other people's podcasts. I go watch film. I'll go reach out to people and say, hey, what do you see in this? And what about this and that and this and that, right? Because you can always the game is always evolving. You could always learn something different about the game from a lot of different sources. But the problem I be having sometimes is when people go out to practice or they see practice and they say Deshaun Watson looks like he doesn't have any arm strength because he's throwing short routes. Well, listen, if they're coming out and they're working on underneath routes or crossing patterns or working on receivers sitting down in the zone, and then throttling down and being able to sit in the zone and not run into guys that are in zone coverage, those are going to be short routes. Sometimes you go to practice and all you work on is short routes. So when you get out there and you say Deshaun Watson's arm is hurt, his arm strength doesn't look. First and foremost, why would you? Do you know what was called? Were you in the meeting room when they called and they had a discussion about what they were focusing on that day? 2, when you see a missed throw, do you know if that throw was due to inaccuracy? Do you know that throw was due to whether or not Deshaun Watson saw the wrong coverage or whether the receiver saw the wrong coverage? And if you two guys see opposite coverages, one guy's going to turn one way and the ball's going to go another way. Do you know? And who do you know? Do you know which one of those saw it properly? Oh, you don't. Okay. Do you know what the play was in the huddle? No, not really. I just saw him throwing the football. There's a lot of times that when we're doing this is why I put a very high emphasis on this. And if you're not doing this, shame on you. We are in the media. We are a conduit to the fans out there. And if you're not breaking these games down, if you're not watching the all 22s, if you're not getting the game film and you searching through it and you not looking through it and deep diving and reaching out to sources like coaches and reaching out to different people that break the film down to have you sit down with them and see what they saw and compare those, then you're doing yourself and your audience a disservice. It's way too many times people are just going to the games, watching the game one time like you saw on the TV and showing up and writing articles. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. And if you take offense to this because maybe you may not be watching the game 4 or 5 times or 3 times or watching all 22, well, you should, because that's part of your craft. What is the difference between me and somebody in the muni lot if I'm not taking no opportunity to watch no film work? I got the same TV they got at my house. What's the difference between me and the dude on his couch? It's just opinion at that point. And this is an opinion sport, but you also have to do your due diligence and making sure that you are buttoned up when you're talking about certain things. And a lot of times people be talking about stuff and they really ain't put that time and work into it. You can say, hey, I always question people. If you say that person ain't no good, I need you to tell me 6, 7 things why and then base it on what you saw. But if you just waking up, rolling out of bed and being like, yeah, I'm going to just say it because it sound good. Nah, bro. No, that's not what we need to be getting into. And a lot of times when it comes to quarterback play, it's easy to talk in hyperbole. Either you're good or you're bad. Either you're elite or you're not. Are you a top 5 QB or you're not? What does your fantasy numbers look like? There's gray area to that. What is your short to medium accuracy talking about when you got to look off coverage? What is your processing speed when you go from 1 to 2, right? Are you putting your team in good plays when you do audible? Are you running away from a blitz or are you running into something? There's lots of different reasons to say what we say. I just want to put an emphasis that I think the media need to do a better job of saying, listen, yeah, I got a microphone. Yeah, I can ask these questions. Yeah, I can write articles. But are you showing yourself and proving yourself to be somebody that's worthy of that opinion? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Didn't mean to get on no tangent. 387 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you continue to hit that like button. I appreciate the super chat. Will a trade deadline impact this season? Of course it will. I think in the trade deadline, you're going to see a lot more trades this year. And I think you'll continue to see more trades as the games get longer and longer. They'll go to 18 games. And I think they should make it easier for teams to make trades that have a trade deadline become even bigger. You should push it back to, I would have it later in the season. I think right now they moved it back a little bit, but I would move it back even further because given what you see, especially with the teams, you want more. The most teams as whole as possible, as late in the season as possible, because it gives everybody an opportunity. It's just better for the viewing. Think about it with the Browns. The Browns' best part of their season was when everybody was hurt and they had Joe Flacco. We would have never had that type of that type of season and that type of feeling if the Browns were done and they waved the white flag. And so I think that will impact specifically the season, and I will push it back even further. Let's keep it moving. What we got here? Let me give. I got a couple more in here. Let's see. Let me get one more in here. Only one Zay says definitely wonder where Earl been. Oh, Earl on vacation. He good. I just saw Earl today. So Earl will be back coming up here, man. Make sure you check out the Ultimate 216. He ain't going nowhere. He just on vacation. See, y'all be used to brothers having PTO. Brothers got PTO now. We just disappeared. Bye. G. Bush, where you been at? I got time, bro. I'm out there on the beach. All facts, man. National media people see highlights and to go right off the narrative. You're right. Let's see. When they going to expand the 53-man roster, I think they should expand it, and I think they should let them have 4 quarterbacks, but that probably not going to happen. I don't know why the NFLPA don't let them get that off, though. Don't know why they let the NFLPA get that off. Let's see. Nicholas says, will Tillman make an impact this year? I think Tillman is going to have an impact, Cedric Tillman. Here's the way I think so. I think what they should do is move Cedric Tillman around. I think they should do a situation where they're using him not only on the outside, but the inside to get mismatches. I want to find him. They should move and use motion to get him on slot corners, being that big and work him like a mismatch. And it's just like in basketball, they'll switch to pick and roll, and they'll put a guy in a pick and roll so they can get a switch onto a smaller guy. I think Cedric Tillman should work in the slot more, because I think if you could catch him on smaller guys and working on those dudes, and I think he's difficult to tackle as well. We see that would happen with, nowadays, to kind of give you a little bit of a picture now, because you can't hit guys as much, right? There's helmet-to-helmet contact, there's defenseless receivers and all that good stuff. Corners and safeties have gotten smaller. Corners that used to be able to, corners that were very large and huge, and safeties that were hitters, those guys have been, lack of a better term, phased out. Now you can play a cornerback that used to be a corner at safety now, because now it's about ball placement, knocking the ball down, and being able to cover speed receivers in the back end, not hitting guys. But one of the things that happens with that is you do have guys that, when you got tight ends like David Njoku, bigger receivers, tackling is poor. Now guys have to make a decision, a business decision. It's hard to tackle those guys because you got smaller corners. I think Cedric Tillman is a guy that's going to use that to his advantage, and hopefully the Browns' offense, the vertical play style, will be conducive to him getting mismatches on smaller guys. All right, let's see. Last one. Watson still will have 4,500 passing. Cliff, shout out to you. I need that 4,500. I need that 4,500. I need it. And if you've been hanging around so far, I'm going to give you out right now. Right now, if you hit me up, gbush91 at hotmail.com, gbush91 at hotmail.com, I'm going to give away random 5 Kool-Aid Mafia rally flags. The Mafia is back. I need you in the subject line to put Cowboys to gbush91 at hotmail.com. Cowboys to gbush91 at hotmail.com. You guys watch on UCSS on Friday, and I'm going to be giving out the names of the winners of the 5 Kool-Aid Mafia rally flags. Hit me up again. Cowboys in the subject line. That's what you got to do. Cowboys to the subject line, gbush91 at hotmail.com, and I'm giving out 5 Kool-Aid Mafia rally flags to get ready for the Cowboys game. Make sure you check us out on UCSS at 11 o'clock. Make sure you check us out. I'll be giving the winners out. You got 2 days, fellas. 2 days to get it done. With that being said, you never know where you might see your boy G Bush. I might be on radio, television, or the internet. But if you want the fresh cut, fresh take on sports, you got to pull up on the barbershop. You got to. I'll be on the radio tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday. And we'll get you ready on Friday, right back here at 5 p.m. for the de facto pregame show. With that being said, have a great rest of your evening and go Browns.